Yeah, good afternoon. It's a bit of a weird talk. I'm that guy. It's a bit of an intro. I'm Steve Davies. I'm the head of cyber at DLA, which is like a leading business law firm. It's probably the biggest law firm you've never heard of. I currently head up all the security architecture, operations and engineering teams there. I stay hands-on, which means a lot of kind of the big businessy type projects, they come to me for support. Before that, I've worked in gambling, betting and gaming, predominantly on the security architecture side. So typically just trying to help the business do whatever it is it's trying to do without ending up in the news. This talk's got a bit of an origin story. So I do a little bit of speaking. I typically talk about what I do at work. It's normally vulnerability management or stuff to do with security operations. But in January this year, I probably, early one morning, I had coffee after Christmas. Probably had a mince pie hangover or something. And I read an article about the Metaverse. And it was the first time I'd read something about it where I thought, actually, I better pay attention to this because it sounds like it's a thing. And this article goes on to describe how it's not just Meta, it's not just Facebook, there's hundreds of thousands of companies now all piling into this Metaverse stuff. And so I put a grumpy tweet out saying, does anyone know, like security-wise, infosec-wise, what are we doing about Meta? Because it's coming. And I didn't get any responses. And then, sod's law, I don't think I swear on this. 5 months later, I come into a meeting request on a Monday saying, we're standing up a Metaverse project. Can we borrow you? And it's like, right. So this is happening. So I guess why this talk? I think there's two things really. I think there's a real lack of understanding and appreciation for what the Metaverse is, and some of it's founded, but I wanted to share with you all today where I think I am and the understanding I've managed to pull together. Hopefully it'll resonate, but I am looking for feedback. If you have a different view, I'd love to hear it. The other side of this talk is, I guess, a bit of a call to arms around what we as, security practitioners, hackers, testers, influential technologists in our organisations, what should we be doing about this Metaverse thing? Because in my view, it's coming, it's going to happen either way, whether we're on board or not. So I'll do the first half. So what is the Metaverse? Really simple, actually, it turns out. Read a bunch of articles. Current version of Time's got a big section on it. It's just the next generation of the consumer internet. Like, let's sink in for a second. Like, Metaverse isn't just Meta. It's not Zuckerberg and his goggle face-hugging things. It's just the next flavour of the internet. In some ways, it's kind of already here. It's made up of virtual worlds, and this is, I think, where some of the confusion comes. Like, we don't really talk about where the internet's up to that much, but the Metaverse is an extension of this virtual world piece that we've already cobbled together. That isn't just goggles, in-depth, that's the word I'm looking for, engrossing virtual digital content. If you use Teams now, you're already doing Metaverse. If you game, you're already in Metaverse. If you're posting to Twitter communities, you're already in Metaverse. The thing that's kind of changing at the moment, and I guess the reason why the guys over at Facebook renamed, and I guess why there's a load of companies making a load of noise about Meta now, is that the focus on the technology's changed. It's gone from the kind of these backbone core technologies that just do web to really the human-centric side of it now. We're trying to bleed digital into the real world. Say technology's big tech. You look at some of the money that's being spent on this stuff at the moment. It's crazy pants. Like I think Facebook spent $6 billion on meta development Q1 and 2 this year. Like, that's not chump change. Like, some countries don't make that much money, period. They obviously want to claim a stake in like this next version of the internet. And I think the thing that surprised me when I did start to do a bit of digging is that it's been a long time coming. Like, this kind of floaty, digital, ethereal internet type thing, it's been kind of the end state for a long time. And as the technology, and the case I'm going to make hopefully is, as the web has been built, become successful, taken over, that's kind of always been the end goal, is to get us doing stuff in our little virtual communities, in our little virtual tribes, but more in the internet, more in this kind of digital world. When we talk about the web, we normally sort of tombstone's the right word. We normally kind of headline it with like a version number. And I think, key takeaway from looking at progression from Web 1 to Web 3 is that there's three trends that kind of stick out. The more people, over time, the more people that can get access to the internet, the better. And over time, that cost of access has gone down. Like if you're as old as me, you all look way younger than I do. Like I remember when you couldn't get internet on phones, like it was a thing. I remember having a BlackBerry to get email, carrying two phones like a drug dealer because one of them didn't do email. Who's got a smartphone? Quick show of hands. Yeah, okay. Give it one person with a rotary phone in the bag. Okay, cool. So yeah, cost of internet, cost of access is going down. And if you look at Facebook's engineering team, like they're doing weird stuff. Like anyone come across? They call it Project Blue. They're doing like satellite internet in like third world countries. They're not just doing services; they're building new tech. Like they're building silicon, they're building kit. It's in their interest to make the internet get from everyone in first world country, white collar jobs, right down to that guy who runs a fishing boat in Ghana. Like he's going to take his payments over the internet at some point. I guess the second trend. Is that the experience of the user using the internet just keeps getting better because technology is just getting better. Again, like I remember like the first smartphone I had, it was a brick by today's standards. Right now, the phone that's in my pocket, it's probably powerful than the laptop I brought today. And we're starting to see that investment in consumer hardware really starting to appear. So everyone remember Google Glass? Yeah, a bit too early there. We've got a Cornerstone event in September when I think Facebook released their consumer headset. Apple premiered their first consumer headset. That's expected this September. I think we're expecting some reveals from Meta around Kit. So there's this real chance that we're going to have an iPhone moment where one day we don't use it, and then come Christmas, we're having Christmas dinner over our sort of virtual tables with our family around the world. I guess the third big trend is that as the internet gets better, we just use it to do more stuff. Like I remember when the internet was just a work thing. And I'm from telecoms. I was at B2B for a little bit, and I remember having a big fat lease line at work, and everyone had a BlackBerry, and that was it. That's what our internet consumption looked like, and we were a carrier, so we were kind of a special case, I think. Now we do it, it's not the work thing, is it? We use it for everything. Shopping, family, spending time with people that we love, spending time with people we haven't been able to see because of COVID or whatever. It's gone from being a work thing to an us thing. And I guess that's been the thin end of the wedge, that, we use it more and more. It becomes easy for us to consume and I guess move experiences to it. So yeah, ubiquitous, probably the best way to describe the internet. It is everywhere, it is on everything. This is underpinning the development of the metaverse is being underpinned by this unstoppable juggernaut of technical improvement. We're all web consumers. We're all almost internet natives now at this point, right? I can't go 10 minutes without checking my phone. I imagine most of you are the same. All that technology has underpinned virtual communities. It is one thing I would like you to take away from today is the fact that the metaverse isn't this big thing that's just going to rock up one day and you decide to buy it or not. Like you're already using it. You're already a member of probably a dozen virtual tribes, professional, personal. You're already fully signed up. All these virtual worlds aren't 3D. As I said, this is 2D version. So all these kind of collaboration technologies that really caught a bit during COVID. They're all, backbone virtual communities now. That's how our worlds work is on these platforms. And together then, collectively, this mishmash of stuff is ultimately the metaverse. Like, we can get into that way of thinking that we exchange Web 3.1 or whatever we want to call it for metaverse. Those changes are interchangeably. We should hopefully have a concrete understanding of what it is. I wanted to talk a little bit about the technology side of it, and I guess the development into extended reality. So I think this is where it's probably going to get really weird real fast. So this change in focus to technology, just out of interest, has anyone got any VR kit? Or does anyone? Yeah, okay. At home, using it for stuff? Okay. Do you use it for work? Trying to talk them into it. Okay. I think all the hype about the metaverse is because this is currently where all the investment and tech development's going. If it's a far better resource than this talk or anything I think I've put on the subject. If you listen to podcasts, if you sign up to the Meta Engineering podcast, like, you'll be scared out of your mind in the first, 2 episodes because they are so far along with this stuff. I listened to an episode on the train. I've come up from Leeds. I'm going to have to stop calling myself a northerner because you guys win that one. You're so far north. I'm technically a southerner, if that's it. That. But they call it Horizon, the Metaverse product. And the stuff they're doing, the stuff that's already available for interacting in that space, running meetings and events in that space, but also mapping your actual physical environment with anchors so that it's referential. So you can put where your table lamp is and your desk phone and I guess where the cat's bed is and anything else so that it helps you orientate when you join a call. Like, they really are working on speeding up adoption and getting it, I guess, as easy to use as a smartphone. So yeah, I mean, the drive is getting the current interest, the current drive, the current push. The reason why we're seeing so many headlines is because these companies are trying to make extended reality a reality and I guess consumer ready. This is a good thing, I think, and I guess this is where I probably start to drift into the other half of this talk. The metaverse has got big potential, and I never thought I'd be up here talking to a room of people in agreement with Mark Zuckerberg. But yeah, making the case that we might need to drop some of our kind of security cynicism a little bit and sort of see it for what it is. The timing's right. Everyone's kind of in this new normal now. The hard bit's kind of done, getting people into a position where they can maybe consume a technology-first realities. I think we're already there. I think the metaverse as a thing has the potential to help businesses grow and remove some of those barriers to entry for talent and recruitment. I think, show of hands, who runs a team currently or who recruits? I know you probably do. Yeah. I recruit. I've got a big team, right? I say big-ish, it's about 14 people. I, hand on heart, say I can't hire the best people always because we have to be aligned to an office in a country. And I'm lucky I work in a law firm where we've got an office in 55 countries. Most companies don't have that. Like, the idea of a home office is this anchors, this really weird, outdated mode that, that some businesses still operate in. If I have a virtual office in a virtual building, or I have a virtual department in a virtual building, in a virtual space, then there's no argument against offering the job to the best people. And that includes people in countries where, I guess, getting employment in our area in security might be difficult. It's got huge potential to help, for us to help people. There's huge implications for customer service. I'm going to do a lot of show of hands. Who's had a sucky customer service experience over web or telephony? Right, okay, pretty much everyone. But, at the furthest end of the sort of dream curve, like, if they crack metaverse, if they get the extended reality stuff right, imagine just being able to have someone beam in from PC World to help your mum fix a computer so you don't have to. Or imagine like a support team being able to drop onto, I don't know, a ship out somewhere in the Atlantic to look at a problem with an engine. It's huge potential. Telemedicine kind of took off during the pandemic. Anyone made a doctor's appointment in the last 2.5 years? Anyone make a doctor's appointment and then get told they'd have to go in and see someone anywhere? Yeah. There's huge potential, and I think this scope for the overlap with all the sensors and smart devices to, I guess, medicine really could make the most of extended reality because getting access to medical care is a human right, and it's difficult. It's got huge implications for education. Imagine being able to take the best classes at the best colleges or universities and cherry pick those and attend them in a kind of immersive way. How much more could you learn online if you could actually be there in some way? It also, again, that opens up education to people, I guess, of less fortunate backgrounds, like, being able to attend a university on the other side of the pond if, cash and resources are limited is I mean, online learning, who's a student here, sorry? Yeah. You have online learning? Is it still all portal-based? Yeah. It's what, sorry?
Online,
blended, okay. Which is better, the online or the in-person stuff? Yeah. So to sum up then, I'm looking for someone to keep me honest at time, Steve can do that. The metaverse, it is the internet, or at least the next version of the consumer internet. We're going to see a lot of change probably in short order. We might even see like another iPhone moment where one day it's not a thing and the next minute it's totally the new way of working. In this new internet, we'll probably see extended reality take off. We'll see digital content start to make its way into the real world through augmented reality. And we'll undoubtedly see more people spending more time in virtual spaces through mixed reality and virtual reality. Conscious I'm talking at speed, but hopefully that's kind of set the scene a little bit for what I think the metaverse is and why it's important to all of us. So what should we be doing? Say we as security interested people, good citizens, good digital citizens. Here's where I think we are today. I think a lot of people don't get what the metaverse is. And there's an opportunity for us to change that. I think there's a lot of unhelpful commentary about its feasibility, and that's distracting from the fact it's already happening. So if you put like Bloomberg News on and just watch like the stock news or the tech roundup at the end of the day, it's split, right? You'll have half the stories are, ooh, the metaverse is going to be great. We should totally all get on board. Then you've got the other half of commentary going, nah, this is all nonsense. It's just more pump and dump photos of monkeys. There's a real cynicism there. I think that's kind of giving a lot of people an excuse to not really get to the root of what it is, and that's just more internet, new internet. I think there's also a lot of unhelpful commentary around the ramifications and a likening to it to stuff in sci-fi. Like, I started reading Snow Crash a little while ago. I went about halfway through it. It's not an easy book. I keep dipping in and out. But it's by no means that it was so hard to write this talk and not just drop in loads of Matrix memes, because you can't find a positive meme reference to Metaverse as a thing. It's just popular culture has made it completely dystopian. So I think that's going to be a tough hill to get over. But I think we can probably help do that. Regardless of what we think of it, I think this is the main point I want to make. Regardless of how we feel about Metaverse, how feasible it is, or what it's going to end up being used for, it's going to happen anyway. Big tech is throwing money at it like you can't imagine. And, it's purely to develop products for this new version of the internet. So, we need to get some skin in the game. So what should we be doing? Oh, sorry, I jumped the slide here. What should we be doing? That's us. So I think first pitch, we need to start treating it like it is inevitable. It's happening with or without us. We know what the impact on society from technology can look like. I mean, we all saw Cambridge Analytica and all that stuff play out. We all saw the sort of perversion of social media. Like, we can't afford to sit on the fence with the next version of the internet. Like, we need to get some skin in the game. We, maybe uncharacteristically, and I say that about myself, we need to treat it like it's a good thing and leave the crypto cynicism at the door. It's not all NFTs and pictures of monkeys. We don't have to drink the Kool-Aid, but we might as well try it. We might even find ways to make it work for us as security teams or as educators. I think it's better to have a hand in shaping it than, I guess, get asked to make it secure after it's in. I can speak personally from this. So my team's geographically distributed. I've got people in the UK, Poland, Dubai and Hong Kong. And about 3 months ago, one of the guys, a chap called Sunil, heads up my ops team now, he just picked up the phone and said, I'm bored of Teams calls, they don't work. Can we move to Gather? And I was like, what's Gather? And anyone use Gather? Yeah, little 8-bit metaverse, like you can drive around in cars, get close to people. We've got a SOC in there now, we've got desk reservations, we've got access control on the door. I have a waistcoat, like I potter around. Check it out. I was very cynical about it as a thing. Like, Teams is fine, and if Teams doesn't work, we've got Zoom. But yeah, we have all our team meetings in Gather now, and there's something about it. It's light touch immersive, but it's a closer analogue to meeting in person than talking at each other through a TV screen, which is what collaboration tech currently looks like. We've got to treat it like it's already happening. which means going out to find out who in the business is doing what, who's thinking about meta, who's talking about metaverse, who's got plans on metaverse. We as technologists, this is the future we kind of imagined, right? We always knew the internet was going to go this way. Some of us maybe. We're in a really strong position to help influence this and make it go the right way. Like we need to get on board. We need to find out how we can help. We really need to play our part. I'm going to drill into that last bit a little more. Hopefully the first 2 points I've covered in the first half of the talk set the scene a little bit. But there's 2 big slides coming. I'm not going to talk through all of it. I'm working on a metaverse project at the moment, and there's no guidance for how to handle it as a thing, so we're kind of winging it as we go. I've pulled together all this guidance. I think we'll share the slides afterwards. So maybe there's something here that's salvageable or useful, for you when you go back to your day job or back to whatever it is you're doing. But I think the big things we need to be in a position to do are we need to align risk management as a thing to understand what metaverse is, and catch those initiatives when they get stood up. It's fairly unlikely that if your organisation looks to do something in Meta, that it's going to come via the IT department. Like the guys that run Exchange and manage Office 365, they're not going to be the guys that get a tap on the shoulder to say, look, we want to do a virtual conference for 1,000 people. What's the plan? You need to go and find those relationships or make them if you don't have them. That means going to speak to marketing team, your events management team, your ways of working team, whoever those are. If you work security stuff and you've got people that, the guy that came to you to talk about MFTs or crypto when all that was on fire, that's the guy who's going to get the sales call about Metaverse and sign some exec up for a demo, and then before you know it, you're going to be doing it. You're going to have to really look at the suppliers really hard because it is a big meaty problem, and there's a lot at stake. Working with a big company that's got some pedigree is obviously where you want to go. You don't want your private customer metaverse being built by 2 guys working out of a porta cabin in Berlin, because there is a load of startup stuff which is it's vaporware, right? The answer is yes. What's the question? We can do all that. Can you really? And have you got the sort of the cloud ops and the sort of privacy stuff to back it up? TBC. Privacy is obviously a big one. Once you understand what it is your organisation is trying to do, you can then start chipping into the monster, which is privacy. Because I think Metaverse, and certainly for our use case, our use case at the moment is it's a replacement for company conferences. So we're looking at 1,000+ attendee virtual space where people can kind of go off and have private meetings. You need to treat that as a problem with requirements like the physical world. Like, how to stop things being overheard? How do we stop, private conversations becoming public? How do we comply with all the GDPR stuff? How's registration going to work? How do we limit access to our metaverse and make sure that it's just the people who want to attending the people we've invited? Platform security, hopefully there's a load of reusable stuff there, like where luckily the supplier we're working with is using predominantly turnkey AWS components. Now, we're lucky in this regard that I suppose the organisation we're working with, they've got a pedigree in gaming, and so I didn't know this. AWS have turnkey gaming services, so if you need to stand up UT5 engine boxes and distribute content globally, they can do that for you. They've got, I can't remember what they're called, it's probably Elastic something, right? So it's Elastic. So that makes the platform conversation really easy to have. You might not be as lucky. If you start to get into the realm of payments, then it's going to get real tricky, but hopefully the platform's the easy bit. The real hard bit's going to come from how you protect stuff in the metaverse. Probably saw the headlines, Meta was running for how long before they had to put virtual bubbles around everyone because they had complaints of people being groped in Meta. It's I think 3 of you put your hands up, who's got access to VR kit now. It took exactly no time for the worst of us to get on the internet and get into Meta. We need those guardrails for what happens inside the metaverse too. So the best I've come up with so far is trying to agree a code of conduct with your organisation. And honestly, it looks like acceptable the behaviour we'd accept within an office anything stray of that, we obviously have a problem with. And yeah, we'll be looking to encourage some of that stuff within our environment. You might get asked for assurance on this stuff as well. Like, we're a law firm, so we, often wake up at night going, can people sign the contract in the metaverse? Is that a thing yet? Not sure. Like, those kind of real world problems. We're having those thoughts and discussions now. I bet, our clients will be, so they'll want some assurance that the stuff that's in our metaverse is, what happens in the metaverse stays in the metaverse. Because the difference between the metaverse and the real world is that it persists. Like, we can go in a meeting room, and then we walk out of the meeting room, and the meeting room's still there. And everything, I guess, some analogy to the real world, the opportunities for surveillance in a virtual world are just amazing, right? You can see, log, track everything. It's a little more difficult to be that creepy in the real world when you can invite someone to your office or go out for a coffee and have a conversation there. If you're pushing people to meet you in this virtual space, they're going to want to know what you've done to make it good enough in terms of privacy and security. Verification and trust. Yeah, look, this is why crypto's a thing, right? Big part of Web 3.0 is value exchange, and inevitably we're going to have some reason to exchange value or prove ownership in our virtual world. If you offer opportunities for people to monetize what they do in your meta space, you're going to need to talk to your fraud team, because whatever you're doing now in the real world probably needs an equivalency there. And finally, regulatory compliance. Like, I work in legal, it's actually fairly lightweight in terms of regulatory compliance, but before that I was at Skybet and I was at William Hill, and so one of the biggest challenges I had was gambling and the regulations around gambling, because there are laws around where people can strike a bet, where the bet can be processed, how that's taxed. If I place a bet on a virtual horse race in a metaverse hosted in Estonia, who's my tax going to? What license am I under? All that stuff needs thrashing out, and at the moment there's no easy way to do it. There's no easy answers. So yes, working with your compliance teams, working with your privacy and security teams to work out the absolute minimum of good enough. Absolutely no, these things can't happen. Those solid, core requirements is the only sane way to handle that at this moment. And that's me. I've rushed through pretty quick. That's actually Metaverse me. So that's me in UT5 in the MetaHumans thing. No glasses. I have touched on representation stuff, but I asked the guy who sent me, that got me into it, where's the glasses? He's like, oh, there isn't any. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, everyone gets free laser eye surgery in the Metaverse, right? What do you need glasses for? It's not a real world. All this kind of representation stuff is, again, it's something that needs to be thought about. So, thank you very much. I'll take questions. This lady at the back, hello.
Really interesting, thank you. And I love the point about it being us thing. I think that's spot on. But you highlighted a series of really serious issues that, okay, I can see that a code of conduct in the office might be something because you can find people, you've got some sort of control. But we're in a society now where IoT, drone technology, is being used to harass people, intimidate people, cause violence. Are we at a point with Metaverse where with technologies like this, where we actually have to start having debates about whether there are some technologies that just have to be banned? Because morally, where do we sit with this? I absolutely see that there's lots of potential.
Yeah.
But there's also massive harm that we can't do something like that.
It's a really good question. No, it's a good question. It's right. It's the right stumper. Got me thinking. I don't think regulation's really slow, right? So this is what we learned from Web 2.0 was the whole ad space, the whole ad space targeted marketing thing could be abused. It's complete information warfare, I think we called it as such, right? So regulation hasn't helped us there. We're still struggling with Web 2.0 problems. I don't think making those experiences more digitally advanced and sort of human-centric is going to alleviate any of those problems. It's going to just introduce new ones straight away. I think, if you'd asked me 10 years ago in my career, when I was a bit more of a stickler for things being done right, I'd have said, we have to wait until we can do it properly. But the reality is, we only learn how to do things well by sucking at them first. So I'm kind of glad that there are these problem cases springing up, and there's a degree of transparency around how they're being managed. That's answer your question, ish.
I think it's an ongoing discussion.
Yeah.
I think hobbies like yours are really important in helping us to work out and do it. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you would what can happen will happen just because technology and I think and which raises where they put the bar, the limit, because you're talking about meetings, but I don't sound crazy. I just think it's going to happen. But if we are technologically capable of replicating feelings, because brain connection is just and reactions. Eventually, we might be able to get to a point where we can replicate our senses.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That would be an architecture that will have to bring us another perspective on cybersecurity as well, because then you can replicate someone to just feel fine. And that would be another thing.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I think that there is real scope for like the abuse you described to be like deeply traumatic. I think I have a fairly easy life. I'm a white man living in a Western country. I don't take a lot of heat online. My last name's Davies. People occasionally work out that I might be Welsh, but that's as hard as it gets for me. We already know that minorities suffer abuse pretty much across every technical medium we devise. I think, there's real scope for that to be like next level when we start to explore how sensors are played back over the metaverse. So like the whole, I can't get my words confused. Is it haptic, the glove stuff? Like that's. I have one rule about technology is that I don't like moving parts, and the idea of my computer being able to touch me in any circumstance feels like a bad idea. Like it took COVID for me to have a printer in the house. Like I hate like moving stuff that much. So I think there's real scope for real problems there. I think hopefully common sense will win the day. I mean, we're doing it now. We're a law firm. Like, we're not a technology company. It's just that we don't want to fly people all over the world to run events. And it took us exactly 5 months for it to go from a coffee morning problem for me to a project to land in my inbox saying, we're partnering with this company. We're doing an event, proof of concept in 3 weeks, with the view to doing this more wide scale by the end of the year. If who works for a company, like which ones? Okay. Couple of years. It's like if you're at an organisation and you're not doing, you don't think you're doing a metaverse thing yet, I guarantee someone's already thinking about it, or you're already on someone's to-call list about selling you some crazy thing of input output. Do you have a question, mate?
You mentioned in the talk about particulars for Web3, saying that things are subjects, data owners, control their own data. And you also mentioned that this year, Facebook expunged $12 billion, so it's maybe 12 billion. Historically, we have been sold Facebook, Google, and everybody else money. So on again, your company's Metaverse, Meta for Metaverse, Google's. How are they going to make money out of this? How will all the different universes interoperate?
Okay, it's good question. Yeah, good question. I'll do the last one first. How it's all going to mesh together, I don't think anybody knows yet. And I think the walled garden approach to developing metaverses is a necessity. So I think right now we'll do our thing, the law firm will do their thing. We'll never cross the streams. You won't be able to take your data out of our verse and put it in theirs. And I think that lets us handle it as a us problem and them as a them problem. But how it all comes together, I don't think anyone really knows yet. Monetization, don't know. Subscription and service. I mean, I can't share numbers, but I've seen the rough projected costs of what like our solution will cost to provision and run, and it isn't insignificant. There's obviously then a lot of value associated with the IP there, but I think you're right. I know what the goal of Web3 is in terms of giving people the power and control of their own data. If that happens, we'll have to see. But I think it's more reason why we need to get involved. The monetization strategy, monetization is the corrupting influence on many technology good ideas, right? It's okay. How do we keep the investors happy? How do we sort of get more cash out of this? So yeah, I don't know. I assume it will still be the product in some way. Okay. Any more questions? Yeah, there's a whole new scope for abuse. On the domain thing, I think, is it unbelievable domains? There's a domain registrar that's like completely just associated with crypto. I think even though we're in sort of the economic headwinds aren't looking so great, they've just secured it's like a 1.1 billion investment, and I watched an interview with their CEO on Bloomberg start of this week, and the case he makes is, they're a registrar, but they work a little different in terms of their, you don't pay like an annual fee for these domains anymore. You buy them once, they're into the blockchain, they persist forever, in theory. But the whole angle is digital reputation, and they see that becomes a transferable commodity between platforms, be it for exchange, be it environments where you are interacting. So there's groundwork being laid in a number of spaces, I think, for a future where you can walk out of one company's metaverse into the other, and your reputation, image, I don't know, anything else you've purchased, they kind of follow with you. Cool. All right. Thank you very much.